Hello and welcome to the healingcollective.live, where we help you to heal physically, mentally, and spiritually. And today I have my very special friend, because we just met, but I call her friend Jennifer Johnson, and she's going to be sharing her story through the journey. We're both so very excited about this podcast episode today. And Jennifer, how's it going? How are you doing? What's new with you?
It's going good. I'm excited to be here today to talk about through the journey, to talk about my healing journey, mental health. So it's going good.
Okay, well, you know what? We're going to get right into it. Tell me about your healing journey and tell me what happened.
Yeah. So, first, I think a healing journey is not just one season. I think different seasons you go do different things. So, this particular season that I'm in, my children are older. I have three adult children and one middle schooler. So, it's a different season of them not needing me like they used to and trying to figure out, okay, what's next. So, I was a teen mom. So, I had a child young. And from the very beginning, it was, taking care of someone else, working, going to school, just always being on that grind to, achieve goals and hit the next level. But I got to a point where I just got burned out. And something in me was just like, okay, you need to rest. So, and that's when my healing journey began. Um, and it's been amazing. I've had some difficult times, but it's been a
How old
blessing.
were you at this point where you actually became aware that some things need to change?
Actually, I was 43 and it just happened last year. So I was 43, I'm now
Okay.
44. But a big thing that happened that helped me realize was that I had applied for a management position. I was at a point where I was ready to take my career to the next level. In the corporate world. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to go ahead and apply. And I did not get the position. And while I was a
Okay.
little upset at first, I was like, okay. And my family, we had taken a cruise. It was December. And I learned that I didn't get it on that cruise. So I was like, God, I remember sitting on the deck and I was like, God, what is next for me? Like just being out there on that water and just spilling my heart to him, like, God, what is for me? What do I need to do to get to this next level? And it's clear as day, when you get the feeling and you just hear something, and it was like, you need to rest.
Don't you love those moments where you just
Yes,
hear the voice, the spirit
yes,
just so very clearly?
yes.
Yes.
And I heard it so clearly, but I didn't believe it, you
Hmm.
know? I was like, .
This ain't God. It's just me. I'm tired.
But when I came home, I took the steps to try to rest, but my mind would not shut down. And I kept trying to do things to just quiet my mind, and it wasn't working with me doing it on my own. And that's when I reached out and found a therapist to help me, navigate this and figure out like what is going on in this mind? What am I going through? And that was a process in itself too.
So, was this also the time where you were inspired to create Through the Journey, your
Through the Journey
organization?
actually came about 6 years ago. And the name Through the Journey came to me. And I'm like, God, what am I supposed to do with this?
Love it.
You know? And I just, I put it to the side. I wrote it down. I listened. And then I started with inspirational t-shirts. I've always been an inspirational person, just encouraging people to, live their journey, live in their truth, and just keep going no matter how hard it gets. So I started with inspirational t-shirts. Then I went on to doing journals because journaling is a big part of me. Like, I
Yes.
love to journal, you know? I think that's healing as well. Then I started with candles. That's a part of me as well for self care. Light a candle, have a cup of tea or coffee, read a book, or just sit there and journal. So just incorporating those things of inspiration and self care. And then me going along in this healing journey is where I said, okay, I need to take this to the next level.
Okay.
So that's where, me being that mental health advocate, that wellness strategist, helping other people, other women say, hey, I'm to that point where I'm overwhelmed. I need to change things. What things can I put in place to help me, be better and take better care of myself?
Okay. When you say wellness strategist, I've been hearing that a lot. What does that entail? What does that mean?
Well, I don't like the word per se coach, because when I think coach, I think of a sport. You know what I mean? So, a wellness strategist, I'm going to listen to the areas of concern and I'm going to walk with you to create a plan that's going to help you do better. I'm going to walk alongside with you and help you get to where you want to be.
That's good. So 6 years ago, you had through the journey, you started that, and at the same time, you were a mom. Your son or daughter who's in middle school.
My youngest
Is
is
it
a
a
boy.
boy?
Yep.
Okay, so he was a lot younger. So how were you able to balance, or was it one of those cases where it was an idea that you kept on the shelf? Because creatives like you, that's what you do. You have all these bright ideas, but some of them you just don't put into play just yet. Or how did you balance, your child as well as you have this vision of through the journeys? How did you balance it? Or was it an idea you just kind of kept on the shelf?
It was difficult. Like in the beginning, I did keep it on the shelf because it was like I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know where I was going to go with through the journey, but it was there. And in the midst of all of this, I was actually in school finishing my master's degree. So, given that, then I wrote a book and then starting through the journey, it was a lot. But when you have a passion for something and you really believe in it, you keep pushing, you keep going, no matter how tired, no matter how overwhelmed, no matter how frustrated you get, you keep going. And it was hard. Some days I was just so tired, but I'm blessed to have a supportive husband, and a supportive three older children that even got involved and helped with the t-shirts and packing and all of that stuff. So that is really a blessing to do something and then see your kids see you passionate about something and jump in and say, okay, what can I do to help you?
Now, you mentioned your book, which I got a copy of. Thank you very much.
Thank
You mentioned
you.
your
Thank
book,
you.
All Things Come to an End. And I was like, oh, I'm glad she said all things come to an end. Because sometimes we want to say, all good things come to an end. But the truth is, all things come to an end. The book is blending real life with fiction. Tell me how that even came about. What do you hope that people who read the book, what do you hope they will learn? Because it's real life and it's fiction, but what do you hope your readers will learn from that book?
Yeah, so I actually started writing little pieces. I would have these dreams or I would get these downloads. And I'm like, what is this about? But again, I listened, I wrote it down. And then one day it was like, okay, you need to make this a book, But it wasn't my story. It was just stories that you see, you hear, people around you. And the premise was all things come to an end so there can be beautiful new beginnings. We all go through things in life. We all have our own journey where we experience things. And sometimes it just feels like the end, like you're not going to make it. You're looking for that light at the end of the tunnel, but it's not the end. You come out of that and there's a beautiful new beginning. You learn a lesson, you grow. But the book was really about like resilience, self discovery, things that I feel like we all go through on our journey called life.
You said self discovery. Tell me about self discovery at the good age of 40 something. Seriously, because sometimes, even as I've gotten older, I have to remind myself that the journey is not over. Because you talk to some people who have reached a certain age, they have stopped trying to discover new things. They're saying, "Oh, I don't want to meet any new friends. I don't want to go here. I don't want to do this." It's like they're just waiting to cross over.
Yeah, so self-discovery, like I said, I was a teen mom. So I had my first child when I was 15. So there was a lot I missed out on. I had goals of, going away to college, going to law school, just, living life as a single person, not with the responsibility of a child. So once my kids started to get older, it's like, okay, well, who am I? I'm not just a wife. I'm not just a mom. I am somebody. So I had to really figure out who I was and what I wanted. So that's what that self-discovery is about. Who is Jennifer? What does she want? Where does she want to go? What's the next step in life? Figuring all those things out because I think as wives and moms, we lose ourselves. trying to take care of
Yes.
others. And then even like in my career, just trying to advance and climb the ladder. But it's not all about that. We need to do things that make us happy, that brings us joy and peace. So, yeah.
Like that. Now, did you get any pushback with this self-discovery journey? Because I think it's ongoing, but did you get any pushback from different people who knew you as a certain person? And you know how when you're self-discovering, you're changing, you're growing. And some people, they don't want you to change too much. They don't want you to grow beyond what they saw you as. Talk some about that.
Yeah, so I can name a couple of scenarios. As a wife, as a married couple, my husband saw those changes and he was like, I feel like I don't know who you are anymore. And I had to have a conversation. That's part of marriage. We grow, we change. And that's the beautiful thing is we learn each other all over again, just like we're learning ourselves at a different age. So that was one situation. And then me starting to set boundaries that I never set before because I'm learning more about myself and what I want and what I'm going to tolerate and what I'm going to accept. So some people don't like when you set boundaries. They're like, whoa, you wasn't like this before. Or you would always say yes. And it's like, well, I'm a new me. I'm a new me. And there's some things that I'm just not going to accept anymore. There's some things that I'm just not going to do because you want me to do them. I need to feel comfortable. So,
Know what you mean. Even as you were talking, I thought about myself and thought, yeah, I remember having very similar conversations saying, nope,
exactly, exactly. You've been through some things, you've done seen some things, and it's
yes.
like, hey, you realize in that healing journey, I didn't like the way that felt, So let's change that. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that every journey holds growth opportunities, even the messy ones. What does that mean? How does that look? And when I think about your journals, how do they help people reframe struggles and into stepping stones, as you've said?
Yeah. So journaling is a way of release. I always say don't hold your thoughts hostage. Don't and when I say hostage, we think about it, we internalize it. It hurts our mind and our body. So journaling is a way to release that, to get it out. Sometimes you may not feel comfortable talking to it with your spouse or your mom or your friend or a therapist, but you need an outlet. You need to get it out. So that's why journaling is important to me and a big part of Through the Journey. And it has helped me through a lot of different situations in my life, just being able to write down what I'm feeling, what I'm going through, and even what things that I can do different. Writing is a powerful tool.
Is very much so. But what do you say to the client who comes to you and says, I'm not really into the writing, but they need to journal? Are there other ways and avenues you would suggest?
Yeah, so journaling does not have to be an everyday thing. You don't have to sit there for 20 minutes and write something down. Even if you just have a thought, just jot it down. And if you take small steps to incorporate that in your daily life, it'll become a habit, just like anything else. But even mindfulness, like taking 5 minutes to just be still, and not just be still, but try to quiet your mind, that meditation. As wives and moms, we often feel like we don't have that time or we can't do it. But if you can just take 5 minutes and just step away from all the noise and just be quiet and just listen to yourself and try to bring some peace to yourself, it makes a difference.
Peace is what we all seek, right? But we know we need it, but sometimes we go the opposite way. We run to the chaos. I'm learning that for some, it's because it's comfortable. For some people, it's just comfortable to stay in a chaotic situation, even though they're saying, oh, I want peace. Are you sure you do?
Or some people even say, I want to heal. Healing is hard because you have to look yourself in the mirror at all the things you've been through and all the experiences, and you got to sit with that, and you have to understand that some of them things you played a part in that. But if you don't feel it, you're not going to heal from it.
You got to feel it to heal it.
Yeah, you gotta feel
You
it. You
got to
gotta
feel
feel it.
it to
Like,
heal it.
like I remember, like I said, I started therapy and I'm still in therapy. I really believe, like my shirt says, mental health matters. Like I really believe that a therapist can help pull those things out of you, you know? And at first with therapy, I was hesitant. Like, I was like, I don't want to talk about these things really, you know? But then it was like, okay, Jennifer, if you really want to get down to it, if you really want to heal, if you want to be a better version of yourself, you have to let it out. You have to talk about it and figure out how to move on from it, how to heal from it, how to forgive, you know? And I remember one time I was in a therapy session and I said, I'm not okay. And I just started crying. And she was like, it's okay, it's okay. And I was like, no, this is the first time I've ever said I'm not okay. So feeling that and hearing myself like really say it out loud, because you know when people say, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing good. How are you? I'm not really good. I'm not okay, you know? So that like feeling that, being honest, you have to.
That very often we kind of give the acceptable answer because for most people it's like they don't really want to hear how I really feel. They don't really
Right,
want to hear that just last night I was really contemplating doing harm to myself. For most
right,
people, so we just say I'm doing fine, yes I'm good, all is well.
right. All those things.
So, using your storytelling approach, how do you make the transformation feel attainable to others? How do you help them see that you can get to a place of this healing as well? What would be some steps you would tell them?
Well, first, storytelling, I think, is important because we can learn from other people. So I've always been transparent about sharing my journey, what I've been through, and some of the steps that I've taken to get there. And if you're coming to me for assistance, really depends on what you're going through in your life. Everyone is at a different stage or season in their life where they need something. So it's all about listening, right? And then understanding where they want to be, where they're trying to go. And then taking those small steps, like what small steps can we take each day? Because you don't want to be overwhelmed by change, you know? So what small steps can we take to get you to where you want to be, you know? Because those small steps, they turn into something big and magnificent, you know? So you got to start somewhere, they always say. So start small and work your way. But my goal with the storytelling is to be transparent and real. Every story you can learn something from, you can grow from it. And that's what I want to put out there with the other books that, you know, I want to create. I'm in the process now of writing a self help book about my healing journey, you know, and it has a piece of storytelling in it, but it also has actions that you can take that will help you on your journey.
That sounds good.
Hmm.
One of the reasons why, for me, you clicked with my spirit so much is you seem to have a view that healing really happens in community, that we heal together. What do you think about that?
I agree. We heal together when we share. And I know it's difficult to be vulnerable. A lot of people have an issue with being vulnerable, like thinking someone is going to judge them from their experience. And that's something that we need to take out of that equation. No one has any room to judge anybody because no one is perfect. We all go
Mhm.
through life. We all make mistakes and get in situations and experience things. And that's our testimony. You know, that's our journey that we as individuals, you know, take. But I love community. And another one of my books that I did was The Fragrance of a Resilient Woman, where I co authored a
So
book
I was about to bring that up.
with
Thank you.
yeah, with other women, and we all shared our personal story of something that we experienced and how we overcame and got over that.
Talk more about that because you and I, we talked about it. But for those who will listen to the podcast, talk about that. The fragrances,
Yeah,
because when
sure.
I heard it, I was like, oh, that's good.
Yes, it's called The Fragrance of a Resilient Woman. So each woman has a chapter with a fragrance. So my fragrance, for example, is the fragrance of forgiveness. So it's a similar thing in each chapter with each lady sharing their story and having their different fragrance. But my story about forgiveness was about number one, me having to forgive myself. Like I said, I was a teen mom. So there was a lot of forgiving and losing my virginity at a young age, not being able to achieve some of the goals that, I wanted to achieve at a certain point in my life and, accept that and be forgiven with myself and having grace. There was also, I had infidelity in my marriage on both parts, um, which resulted in a child being born. And that was a difficult situation. I had to forgive myself. I had to forgive my husband. But hey, we're, about to be 23 years in, so we made it through that.
Yay.
But forgiveness is not easy. It is not easy. But when you know that things happen in life, that sometimes you may have a little bit of regret and you may fear what exposing certain things may do or what people may think, but the truth needs to be told, and then there needs to be forgiveness and there needs to be healing. So, yeah.
And the way you said it, I was like, is it in that order? Yes. Okay.
Yes, the truth, the forgiveness, and the healing.
What were some of the other fragrances? Because even as you talked, I
Let
was
me
like,
see.
oh, yeah, I thought about what would my fragrance be? Because that is a very interesting concept. And just like I told
Okay.
you before, I think some people, they have a scent. Their energy
Yeah.
gives off a certain scent and they don't even realize it. Like I think about those who are bitter. It's like you walk in their presence and
And you
you
feel
feel
that.
it. Yes, you feel it. And their fragrance to me
Yeah.
is like a bitterness.
Right. Right. So I'm gonna name off some of the scents or the fragrances. So we have
Okay.
a scent of engagement, a
Okay.
scent of perseverance, a scent of victory, the aroma of abundance,
Mm.
the fragrance of God's favor, the sweet savor of rescue and recovery, and the sweet scent of tenacity. So yeah.
Like it. And you can go on and on with that. That's really deep. That's
Yes.
really, did you all do that with a group? Because even as you were speaking, I was like, oh, that would be great to do in a community type healing setting or a group setting where people, can share their own experiences or fragrances.
Yeah. Yeah. So I actually found this on a Facebook post or whatever. She had mentioned that she wanted to do this project and she wanted to include, these kinds of stories. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna go for it.
Yes,
It ended
yes.
up being about 8 of us, and we created this group where we, started to talk and connect. And, when we wrote each chapter, we all read each other's chapter. It was a beautiful experience. I would definitely do it again.
Now,
Yeah.
what would you say to a person who is just stuck? They've come to you and they have said, I feel stuck. What advice would you give them?
Oh boy, let's see. Well, first, I would want to understand a little bit about where they're coming from. What is something that's going on within them now? Then it's also, where do you want to go? Do you have any visions of, where the next step might be? Maybe you're stuck because you're thinking too hard about where you're trying to go when we need to create some steps for you to get there. And then I always talk about therapy. I'm a mental health advocate, so I'm going to always throw that in there. Sometimes it may take a little bit of therapy, talking to a professional to, kind of get you back on track as well. So between working with that therapist and then me as the wellness strategist, we can create those steps and to get you so you don't have that feeling anymore and that you can continue to go and get to that next level where you want to be so you don't feel stuck or even overwhelmed.
Too often, when we're fixated on a fixed past, we stay in that place. It's like looking at a fixed wall and you're just staring at the wall. You're fixated on it. It's not going anywhere. You're not moving. The wall's not moving. And you're just kind of stuck there. So that's
Right,
what I envision it means to be stuck in a place. Is like I'm fixated, I'm ruminating over something that has happened because the past is fixed. You cannot change it. The only thing
right.
you can change is your future. And you
Exactly.
can do that in the
Exactly.
present.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes, when you're stuck, you may be so fixated on this one thing or this one situation, and it might not even be for you. So you got to think of some other things, open that, expand that. So, yeah.
And let it go.
Yeah, let it go. Like me with that management position, that was not for me. That was not for me. God blocked that for me. I couldn't see it in the midst of it, because I was upset because I had the goal that I wanted to advance in my career. And that was the next step that I wanted to take. But God said, no, that was not for you. I blocked it. So you got to think about that too. Sometimes God is blocking you, and that's why you stuck because you're trying to go somewhere He don't want you to go.
And we still trying to push. Yeah. So what's next for you, Miss Dynamic Jennifer? What is next?
Oh man, I'm really excited about where through the journey is going. I really stepped out of my comfort zone to talk about my journey, to want to be able to help other people on their journey. I'm what you would consider a private person. Um, but I was like,
For real?
yes, you wouldn't think it, but I am. But I was like, my situation or the things that I'm going through or feel, it's bigger than me. I really feel like all the experiences that I've had were for a reason, and God wants me to be out there to help other people. So that's my mission. That's what I'm looking forward to. And that's what I'm going to keep pushing to continue to do, whether it's with my YouTube page, social media, books, journals, being on podcasts. That is my goal. That is my mission. And I'm going to be true to that, hands down.
I am looking forward, and I hope we're on the same page with some type of collaboration because I'm big on that part. I think we working together, it just helps more people. Yes, it helps us, but it helps more people when we come together with a single purpose, single mindset to help folks heal from their emotional scars. Because even as I think about it, in our community, we are carrying a lot of emotional scars that we don't even realize how much it's limiting us in so many different ways. So, even you mentioning going to the therapist, this is something that is just now sort of accepted in the Black community, where people are talking more and more about visiting a therapist and seeing someone to help talk about some of those hurts that they have suffered.
Yeah, it's a big stigma in our community, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad that more people are opening up and having that conversation because I think it needs to be had. There's nothing wrong with going to talk to someone to seek help, especially when you're trying to better yourself and grow. Like I said, it's hard being vulnerable and speaking to a stranger and having those deep conversations about your experiences. But that's why it was so important for me to find someone who looked like me you know so my journey to find a therapist, I wanted to make sure that I found a Black woman because that's who I am, and I would feel more comfortable having my conversations and explaining myself and the things that I've been through to another Black woman. And I think we need more excuse me, I think we need more men therapists. I really do. I really do because I think our Black men could use that as well. I would love to see more men be positive about mental health and getting help because there's nothing wrong with it. You're bettering yourself, you're helping yourself.
I think that's one of those things that over time, yes, it will come. You'll see more and
Yes,
more Black men who realize, yes, I need some help for this journey.
yes, yes, yes. I'm hoping we do see more of that.
So, Jennifer, a guilty pleasure with your self care routine. I try
A
to
guilty
ask all the
pleasure.
folks that,
I would say I love a good car ride. So just me getting in the car, taking a drive. I may hit a drive through and sit in the parking lot and listen to some music and eat my food, or
really?
take a drive and get me a cup of coffee just to get out the house. Like I work from home as well. So this is
Mm-hmm.
my surrounding 24/7. So sometimes, you just need to get out the house.
You need to get out.
I have my kids here, even though they're grown, my kids still live at home. I have my husband, I have my mom who lives with us. So sometimes you just don't want to see nobody, So,
That's real.
I get in my
That
car.
is real. Yes.
You don't want to see nobody. You don't want to talk to nobody.
Right.
I just grab the keys and the purse and I get in the car. I put on my little playlist and drive and yeah.
Now, as a writer, what would you say? What would be some advice you would give to listeners out there who are looking, who are aspiring to become writers as well?
I keep writing. No matter what the thought is, you may think it's nothing, write it down, keep it somewhere where you can always go back and reference it. Writing is something that you want to do as far as a book. Something I do for myself is I carve out at least an hour every day to write. It may not be cohesive, but I'm writing, I'm getting things down so I can put it together. Don't be
That
hard
was
on
really for
yourself.
me,
Like
but I just said the listeners.
hey, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, don't be hard on yourself because sometimes you get that where that brain isn't working and you're like, "Oh, I know I need to write, but I don't have anything to write. I can't think of nothing." Just whatever comes to mind, just write it. It doesn't have to all make sense when you're writing because it'll all come together.
Thank you for that. I think that is probably my biggest deal is that I'm extremely hard on myself. So thank you for that, Jennifer. Thank you for the grace.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Well, this has been fun, and I hope this is not our last recording or
No, it's
gathering
not.
or okay,
It's not. We
okay.
already we already said in the beginning that this is going to be a long
Yes,
term thing.
yes. From the moment we started talking, I was like, yes, this is a kindred spirit. Yes.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
something that is good about Jennifer that I really like.
You too, Tony. Same thing. Same thing. And I would like you mentioned about collaborating on something about healing. I would love to collaborate and do something and bring other people in that have been on this healing journey, and we share with other people how we made it through or we're making it through, and what changed for us, what made us see the light. Sharing is just that's it's powerful, and I think we need to do more
It
of it.
is
So I can see that for us in the future.
that when you said sharing, the church girl in me, immediately I thought about the word of their testimony.
That's right. Yes. Yep. Yep.
Because we of course we don't do that nearly as much, but sharing about how you've made it over, so to speak, it
Yes.
is, I think, is critical and it's important, and it does help someone who is just not quite there. And that's my passion, that's my hope, and that's why I do the collective. And I'm gonna be honest, Jennifer, no, I don't have it all together. I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but I am walking believing that God will open the is doing just that.
Yes, and I'm with you on that journey as well. And I believe as long as we keep walking and we keep trusting in God, He's always going to continue to put us on that path. Like we connected, so we're going to connect with
Yes,
others and we're going to be able to help others. So, as long as we stay on that path and we stay with God, it'll be all right.
I agree. Thank you,
Yeah.
sis. Thank you, my sister Jennifer. I,
Yes,
I
thank
bet you
you.
said now she done said friend, now she done made me her sister.
Hey, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I love the connection. Yes, yes.
Okay. Thanks again, Jennifer. This
Thank
has been
you. I
good.
appreciate it. Yes, it has.
And I look forward to talking with you again.
Yes, me too. All right.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye bye.